toxic relationship as it shows up in their lives. And then I'll tell the story later, but then I got introduced to this concept of how much we are that bully. And I've been training all these people how to deal with it outside themselves. What do you do when the bully is you?
But so I'm going to stop you here because we're talking about this inner bully, but maybe not everyone really knows what is about this inner bully. How you know that it's inner bully? How you name it?
How do you name it? How do you call it out? So let me ask you, I'll ask you a couple, we'll have a conversation about it. How's that? Since you're
all right. Awesome. I love it.
Okay. Now, have you ever been in a relationship with someone that felt draining or toxic?
Absolutely.
How did you feel? How did your body feel when you were around that person?
I felt uncomfortable. My self-esteem was lower, and I didn't want to be even there. Like, I was convincing basically myself that you are a good person. You should be in this people's life, or they should be in your life. But I didn't feel it.
And for most of us, a toxic relationship has those feelings. We feel shut down. If you're kind, you feel like you should be nice to them and ignore the fact that you feel like, I want to run away.
Right.
Or you're shut down around them. Well, what happens when that toxic relationship is your thinking? That's your inner bully.
Yes. And when, I'm sure from your own experience or from your client, when we hear this inner bully, what do we usually hear?
We don't. Okay. So have you ever heard of the inner critic?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the inner critic uses words and tells us criticisms, right?
Right.
The inner bully might not use words. So, for example, when you're in a toxic relationship with somebody and you're around them, it's not that you're hearing words in your head. You're just like, oh, I feel awful. I want to go away. It's the same kind of feeling that comes up when the inner bully is triggered. So you're a coach. You help people understand their triggers. What makes me upset? What pushes my buttons? Well, our inner bully gets triggered. I don't know why I'm using air quotes because it's like little.
I love it.
But our inner bully gets triggered and we have all these different feelings. The feelings are fight, flight, or freeze. So we will freak out and run away. Or if you're like, let's say you've got a big project, or before you started doing these conversations, you might have had a lot of stuff come up. Worry, concern, doubt, fear. But it didn't have words. It was just a feeling in your body. And you were like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This makes me nervous. That typically means the inner bully is triggered. It's triggering something.
Okay. And this inner bully is usually created, born, or whatever you want to call it, usually from what I was taught, often in an early childhood. But it doesn't need to always start there. Yeah, we just add the stuff, the experience. Is it what is true for you and your clients?
Yes. And a great example is this. You're raised as a child, and some people had amazing childhoods where they were honored and they felt loved and supported. And some people, and they might still end up with a piece of an inner bully in their heads. Because the inner bully, think about it this way. We are driven to search out for negativity because negativity is unsafe. We thrive when we feel safe. We thrive when we feel protected and we can grow. If you're unsafe, you feel small and you have to be quiet, or you have to, do you know what I'm saying? Like safe,
right.
If you're unsafe, there's so much present. Well, the inner bully is trying to keep us away from danger. There's my air quotes again. But danger might look like putting yourself out there online, doing a big TED talk, doing big speeches. So that brings up the old fear, whatever the old fear is. And it might have been from childhood. It might have been the messaging we've gotten. I don't know it. And even for, I have clients who are looking to try to get into relationships, you know, they're dating, and they're like, oh my God, every time I go on a date, all I feel is these insecurities, like I'm not good enough. And it's not even based in fact. It's like this just fear that comes up. And it's this feeling that we might be unsafe. And our brains are brilliant. We look for things that are unsafe so that we can manage them. The problem is it changes our mindset to only look for like things you have to watch out for. Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost
Right.
like then you become, there's a thing called a negative neural bias. So we hear negativity more often, we search it out, and there's a reason for it. Keeps us safe.
Okay, so I'm your client. I come to you. Let's say yeah, like you said, I'm afraid to date. I really want to be in the relationship, but I don't want to. And I'm in my 40s, so come on. When am I gonna find a good guy or any good partner in my age? Come on, like I don't want to go to club. I'm not for that anymore. So what you say? Like what you say to your client, to the inner bully that is speaking through her?
Well, the first part of an inner bully is having to first recognize it. So you call it out, you acknowledge that it's happening. And then you realize that it's not real. It is an illusion based on fear, worry, doubt, all of this negative stuff, that it's trying to keep you safe. And safe might be stuck on your couch, you know, binge watching television, and you're not going to meet the love of your life unless he's the UPS man, stuck cocooning in your house. And so recognizing, oh, there it is, there's the inner bully. What I teach people is how to deal with the adrenaline of it. So the first piece is awareness. The second piece are you try on different tools. You see what tools work for you. And then the last part of the triangle is practice. Practice. So awareness, tools, and practice. And then after you practice something, you see, okay, did that work? If I went on a date and it wasn't the guy for me, or if a client went on the date and it wasn't quite the guy for her, but she realized that she didn't have anything to be nervous about, she's then more likely to, it feels safe again. So it's all in our own mindset. And I love that you work in mindset of what we feel is unsafe. And when we have that feeling, we are going to create an adrenal reaction against ourselves.
But I know that you also do art, martial arts. And oh my gosh, you are a master. And yeah. So how average person like me can kick the inner bully in the butt? Because if I could, because I'm very, like, my imagination is huge. So when I picture that, I try to kick myself in the butt. It's really difficult. So you are probably more flexible. You have all this martial arts, woo! And tell me how me, not martial master, artist master, and how without all these skills do I kick my inner bully in the butt?
Well, I will give you a counterintuitive answer.
Okay.
So, anytime you're in danger, whether that's someone else coming towards you that means you harm, or a voice in your head that means you harm, you have to use boundaries. Boundaries are the key to everything. I teach an online boundaries course with another marvelous woman, but we are both experts in how to set boundaries. You have to learn how to set boundaries for yourself. The inner bully is a part of you. If you fight it, so go ahead and push your hands together, Beata. Good. Now I want you to push hard. Push hard. Okay, that's you resisting yourself. How long can you do that?
Not long.
Right, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So when we fight the inner bully, we are creating that resistance in ourselves. So what the boundary that the inner bully needs is breath. We have to breathe. We have to recognize that it's trying to serve a purpose. It's not here to harm us. I believe in all of our cells, we have something called defense DNA. So our cells are encoded not just to survive, but to thrive. But when we fight our own cells, we create resistance. So imagine making that inner bully not triggered. So the antidote to adrenaline is breathing. And then becoming aware, what does the inner bully think is unsafe? What is triggering it right now? For me, when I did my TEDx talk, I had a brain injury and I had to memorize an 18-minute speech. Memorize, no notes. When I gave the talk, I didn't have any notes, there was no teleprompter, and I was freaked out. I was so nervous about screwing up. And my inner bully was totally activated. And how ironic is it? I'm giving a talk on the inner bully and my inner bully is activated. I mean, there were so many nights I couldn't sleep because I was just like, oh my God. My nerves were so activated. And I realized what my inner bully was helping me see how important this work is. And I didn't want to screw it up. But the inner bully was trying to keep me from screwing it up. So I had to tell it, I can't really screw it up. It's our work. Like no one else is teaching this. This is our work. It's going to be fine. And I had to find some things to trust. But if I fought that inner bully, I would have just been even more exhausted.
Absolutely.
So that might be your way of kicking the inner bully in the butt, is by like pushing it out the door and closing the door on it, drawing boundaries on it.
So basically what I hear is it's totally normal that inner bully will make us feel unsafe and we will feel like in danger, like you said, and we will be nervous, but it's okay.
It's okay.
The awareness that you talk about, that is the most important. And just this is the kicking the inner bully in the butt. Awareness and asking the questions that I love that you said, like, is that really true? And I would also add, bring evidence from your life. You probably 100 or million times already kicked your inner bully in the butt before. So last question, how we can find you and what is the best way to follow you?
I have a website. It's called teresaburn.com. It's just spelled like my name. I teach a system. I created a system of helping people find their own inner power. And it's the innate, inherent, intuitive power that lives within all of us, but we tend to give it away. So there are some articles. I've written a lot of articles nationally on how to take our power back or how to keep our power. And my website and the YouTube channel, the TEDx YouTube channel, you can look up The Danger of Your Inner Bully.
And we will put the link under the video.
Thank you.
Before we finish, I have Garlene saying hi, Lana, Paul, Carolina, Liliana, Evelina, they are all saying hi, and this is wonderful conversation. Thank you. So thank you so very much. One thing that maybe I would go back to is about the boundaries, because it's kind of it's not easy. Because sometimes I notice with my own clients that when we create boundaries, we miss this with barriers. So how people can know that it's a healthy boundary, not the barrier that is gonna block you and
oh, such a great question. So sometimes if we're not good at setting boundaries, we make walls or barriers. Yes. And that just means we've been pushed too far. A boundary is just a soft, fluid, hey, that doesn't feel right for me, or that's not going to work for me. It doesn't have to be, no, leave me alone, back off. It can be like, what else can we do? Is this going to work for you? Is this going to work for me? And the first step of knowing any boundary is to learn what you want. You have to know what you want. And then the work that I teach is helping people ask for it. And you can ask with grace. You are married, is that true?
Right.
And you just went to Phantom of the Opera. I love that show.
Yes, that was wonderful.
Such a great show. It's one of my favorites also. But you can create this is what I would like with your husband instead of stop doing that. I hate that. It can be like, you know what? I like this better. Can we do more of this? You can create a boundary that's a bridge. You can create a boundary that's a connection. And I also,
Okay.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
The last thing I want to say about the inner bully is it might look like we flee, we run away from something that feels uncomfortable. It might look like we want to fight it or beat up ourselves, or we might freeze. And we might like procrastinate or distract ourselves on social media or television or shopping or eating. And so the inner bully can be activated in any of those ways.
That is wonderful. Thank you so very much. And everyone, I encourage you to follow Teresa and contact her and get to know her more. Listen to her speech. Oh my gosh, she is a like volcano. I guess she's full of energy and she's like, yeah, she is keeping life in a bad if it's not on her side. So yeah, thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day. And again, we will drop all links, follow Teresa, get to know her, and wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful time. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Beata. Bye.